Good evening. We start our program, weekly analytical program, DeFacto Review, with me, Jargal Dampadarcha. Every week we introduce to you about 3 important events happened last week in the country that may or that already shape the social, political, and economic life of the country. Today on the program, education inequity causes traffic jam in Ulaanbaatar. School year starts on September 1st. Second topic, land management is the core reason of traffic jam. Land is a tool of corruption. Third topic, General Election Commission members are changed. President request is granted. So these are 3 topics we would like to share our independent analysis about, and let's start the first one. Education inequity causes traffic jam. In Mongolia, there are total 834 general education schools start their academic year now. In total, almost 690,000 students study there. And this year we have additional 40,000 new students. Why 40,000? Because almost 29,000 have graduated the 12th grade. But this year, this new school year, 80 new students come to schools. What are the specific features of this school new year? It is happening during the high alert due to coronavirus outbreak in Mongolia, and social distancing is observed. And this time, there will be 2 ways of education. One is distance education, and the other is classroom education. As far as distance education concerned, it requires laptop or computer for every child and every teacher, and necessarily everybody must have access to Wi-Fi internet, which is not the case. So it makes difficult this distance education quality meeting the standard. Though the state government had given 3,300 notebooks to teachers. As far as classroom education concerned, they set the children following keeping the social distance, or they have divided classes into 3 groups, and each school day continues only for 2 hours. However, many children spend around 4 hours or so to and from school. Just for 2 hours classes, they spend 4 hours spending in the cars, in traffic jam. This is the big problem in Ulaanbaatar city: population high density and traffic jam. The city traffic department says that this time there will be there are now 943 big buses serving the public, out of which only this month 29 directions got 34 large buses, but still not enough, and the quality of services don't meet requirements, and many people prefer, even though there is a jam, they prefer to go on their own car. We will separately talk about the cars, what kind of cars. Mostly, it's very, mostly almost 60% of the cars in this city are right-handed, where the driver is sitting on the right side, because this is a right-hand traffic movement, traffic rule country, but only 30% of cars in the city are on the left hand. So one of the solutions the city authority finds to have operating school buses, and there will be 113 school buses this time from September 15th, because by that time, 2 weeks from now, during 2 weeks the schools will have fixing the schedules properly. So there will be 113 buses, but it is only of 46 schools, 25 state schools and 21 private schools. So once we talk about this situation, we should say about, in general, what's about the education in Mongolia, in particular general school education. We find school education unequal and not inclusive so far in Mongolia, and education became a big business in this country, and education makes a huge social inequality. It creates large inequality in the society. Though Mongolia spends, relatively average compared to other countries, 4.3% of the GDP for education. There was a times, in particular 2001, we spent 7.1% of GDP for education. But compared with that year, economy has grown, but still there is a big need, and we need to increase the spending for education. Just this year alone, they have built up 45 kindergartens, thus making 6,000 seats more for kindergarten children. And then 30 schools were created and renovated, extended, and that thus making 14,000 seats for students. But however, as I told, 50,000 difference we need. This 50,000 students we have more than the previous year. And the same statistics will apply for next year. We will have 42,000 seats needs next year, and because 38,000 is graduating and 80,000 children comes to school first time. In 2 years, there will be 35,000 student seats we need. Students will be more. 45,000 graduates, 80,000 coming first. Well, it is also, it's average statistics. But there is a big difference between rural and urban areas in Ulaanbaatar, with more people coming to urban areas, in particular to Ulaanbaatar city. And it's very hard to find school in Ulaanbaatar and hard to find students in rural areas. Plus, the children have no chance or possibility to study where they live. So this mobility of children to better schools, to private schools in the center of the city, causing that traffic jam. That's why we call it the traffic jam, is caused by education inequality. We'll show you some maps here. There is schools dots, yellow dots show schools, and this pink color is where the housing districts are there, and the yellow area is a Ger district. As you see, the schools are more concentrated in the center of the city. That's the reason why we have so much traffic on particular day of school start. This map shows the blue dots are the kindergartens in the city, the same picture. Another one is a public library, only a few library, public in the very center of the city. And the next one is a museum, also in the center, nothing around. And then cinema, public cinema, also in the city. And this one is swimming pools, public swimming pools where you can go and swim, not including hotel and private pools. So there are only a few. So these few maps show how much we need to improve investment in education. That's the situation. And lastly, there is a very contradicting policy, education policy, among state power branches. The Minister of Education, in her greetings to the students on the day of school New Year, she said, there will be a policy of widening introduction of international education program to general education schools by stages. So the government will have a policy to extending that international program. Yet Mongolian president said in his greetings to students, he said, each Mongolian citizen must have general education that reflects traditional customs, history, and specifics of culture of the nation. That's the state policy of education, yet there is an attempt of forcing expensive foreign education content separate from Mongolian tradition to the core general education program. That's this both quoted are from from cabinet and the president greetings, and it shows that not very united, clear image or understanding of the education policy among the elite in the country. Well, our next topic is land management. Land administration is the core reason of traffic jam today, following the first hour topic, because land became as a tool of corruption. Why we are saying that? Because the land permission or license or paper is becoming a tool in hand of bureaucrats to enrich themselves. For years now, it continues very long, and I have written several articles about the real situation with the statistics for the last 10 years. And how do they earn money on that? This is the one way of the land permission, giving the land permission. The other one is to take the owning and using lands not by designation or purpose. Each certificate has certain designation. For example, all valleys of South Mountain, Bogdhan Mountain, are given land, permission is given for tourism purposes. But however, there is nothing to do with the tourism, as you see. They are very expensive residence area. It became expensive residence areas. All valleys of Bogdhan Mountains, which is supposedly to be a protected area. And also some building administration. Each building has own, we call it soh, own administration elected by the residents. That administration has a right to use the land around, and there is a lot fights, disputes about many that administration dealings. So that bad planning of the city makes, or the unplanned or the corrupt land administration makes the traffic jam, which is a real problem in the city. Everybody knows that without my saying. It made that this corruption of land administration made the city planning impossible. It's no way to extend our roads. And we search it. There are 4 land registration system in Mongolia. One for citizens, households, and companies. It is organized by one company, this land administration agency. The other one is by Natural Protection and Nature and Tourism Ministry. This is registration about protected land. The third one is about mining registration. It's done by a mining authority. The fourth one is land owning right registration, so-called. Though the people don't own land, they own the land for a certain period. It is run by a state registration agency. So there are four different systems of state land administration. And yet there should be one, and a very clear information and very transparent information which land belongs to whom, which is not the case. There is an agency of land administration and the management, geodesy and cartography. That's the official name of the agency that is registering the land of citizens and companies. And yet, when you go to their website, qazar.gov.mn, the website is very poorly managed. You cannot find information you need about the land, who owns what, and about the land nobody owns. And if you want to have a land, Mongolian citizens are supposed to have each 0.7 hectare land, each family. And when you need to find the land to own, you cannot find in this their registration. And we, on the purpose, called their phone number they have given on their website and check it whether that particular building belongs to anybody. How can we know? They referred us to the district reference. Couldn't find anything. We called back. They said, "What you would like to know?" We said, "We need to know who owns that building." They said, "This information is confidential and not available to anybody who is calling." That's the reply of that bureaucrat. In general, information about the land is secret, not transparent, and that serves those bureaucrats who are managing all this land permission, etc. And having all this land registration secret, it makes them rich. That's why this land corruption goes so to the roof in Mongolia. A whole valley of some mountains are owned by one individual. Maybe a well-known individual, maybe a big parliament member, somebody. And people keep silence on that. And we don't know how they got the whole land. Now they're constructing their own, making some residence, and they are selling with billions and billions of tugriks. And yet they don't pay a tax. In Mongolia, a citizen and company can own land for 15 to 60 years with extension of 40 years. It doesn't say how many times this extension can be. What happened after 100 years? And because this, whatever is on the land owned by somebody, and that automatically owns that land for at least for a certain period of time. Use of land is done by contract, and a person without citizenship can also use the land in Mongolia. So what kind of solutions we expect? Land registration must be digital and one and united and transparent. And it looks like the government will not do it because it is not in their interest. So at least these four agencies will fight against united registration, one registration. Though there is a light in the darkness. There is a project called e-Mongolia, started with this new government in Mongolia, where they are intending to have one registration of land. And then it's a matter of 2,000 or so jobs in between these four agencies today registering. But still we need that. It's the only solution to have land registration clear. And there should be also a particular agency, one of them or so, to really deal with complaints of citizens, and the way how they deal requests and complaints of citizens to be very transparent. It should be publicly available how a problem with the land was solved by that agency and when. But finally, the important thing, which is not the case in Mongolia, is real estate taxes. There is a law, 2% of real estate value a year to be paid, except residences to the state. However, it is not serving everybody. State-owned enterprises, state-owned buildings, they don't pay real estate taxes. And many people don't pay it. And yet it can be a substantial income of Ulaanbaatar city. Part of that real estate tax revenue should be spent back for where these real estates are to maintain better, so that it increases the value. So here, this country needs to work a lot. And it's in the interest of those bureaucrats who are keeping secret land informations to have that real estate taxes not paid, because it will be too clear who is to pay. So this is our second topic we would like to share with you. Our last topic today is about the General Election Commission. All members, 4 members out of 9 are changed last week in Mongolia. And as we say, President's request is granted, because just after general election happened at the end of June, President had demanded particularly the head and Secretary General of Election Commission to resign. Why? Because he finds their work dependent on political parties. The people also think in that way, because after every election there was irregularity of accounting votes. Somehow solved, but there was not big a fight, but somehow it's been solved. But people find Mr. Sotnam Tsiren, since 2009, was the head of this commission. He was a minister, and he was from Democratic Party. General Secretary was from the People's Party. He was in the city administration. Both one day given request. They have signed the request to resign because they want to be on their pension. Another 2 members also resigned on the same day. How come there are 4 members of this commission resign on the same day? Is it dependent or independent decisions? However, there is a new now head of Mongolian General Election Commission. Mr. Dilgir Narang recently worked for the parliament of the country as a manager, senior manager, and now he became a head. Mr. Davao Chir became General Secretary of the organization. He recently worked for National Security Council, which belongs to the President's office. According to Mongolian law, within 21 days, the parliament have to make decisions on a request of resigning of each and every the election commission member. So they did it very quickly, and they did it recently, last week, as I said. And it's happening just a year before next president election and a month before local election, which is going to be in October. We are worried about this action also just before these elections, because the backbone of democracy is free and fair election. And that election commission makes sure that it happens in that way. And the election commission is implementing the right of vote of citizens, right to govern the country. So that's why this election commission change is an important matter for Mongolian voters. Whether election commission of Mongolia, General Election Commission of Mongolia is independence or impartial, that's the question, that's what we keep asking, and hopes the same from the new elected officials of the commissions, though nobody asked the people's opinion about the nomination of these two guys, two persons. General Election Commission of Mongolia is consisting, as I said, of 9 members. 2 are full-time, 7 are not full-time, and 5 of them are nominated by state standing committee of the parliament, 2 by the president, 2 by the Supreme Court of Mongolia, but it is finally approved, this nomination, by the parliament for 6 years. And those election commission members are not to be political officer, not to be candidate to any election, and also they should not be a member of constitutional court or judge or prosecutor. So these are the requirements for them. So we have learned a bit what's happening in other countries. There are mixed systems. Parliament is alone, for example, nominating those members in election commission in Japan, Rwanda, in Venezuela by supermajority, or in some countries the cabinet is nominating in the consultancy with the parliament. Barbados, Malta, Trinidad, Tobago, etc. There is a country where the election commission members are nominated by just Supreme Court, but majority votes of Supreme Court, Costa Rica, Turkey, or mixed system. There are, by mixed system, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, government is nominating, submitting the candidates, then it's nominated by the parliament, etc., etc. So different mixture of nomination and approval of those nominations existing in many other countries. Mongolia, compared to those countries, keeping just these majority examples, overall it is in the line of majority of the countries. Because the submission of candidates are equally distributed more in between government branches, judiciary and executive and legislation branches. Whether Mongolian Election Commission are completely independent, we find no, because it depends on 2 major political parties. And in many countries where there is no proportional element in the structure of election, it's hard to maintain this impartiality of the election commission members. If we have, say, 3-4, now more or less 3-4 political parties are in the parliament, in those cases, or when Mongolia will have more proportional election system, there's a chance to have more independent election commission members. So these are the 3 topics we want to share with you today, our analysis. And our program is also, you can watch on Facebook live, and the next day you can watch on our website, jargaldefacto.com, and I deliver this review in Mongolian, in English, and in Russian, and our Russian program is broadcast in Russia as well. So thank you very much for your time with us. See you next time.